I can't believe you want to watch this show. You know they just did a 3-episode arc where Harley beats Penguin, Riddler, and Mr. Freeze using nothing but her Mary Sue powers?
Are you sure you haven't seen the show?
Yeah, because I'm not a 12-year-old girl. Also, dude, why would I watch a show that's set in Gotham City, but Batman's barely in it?
You watched all 5 seasons of Gotham.
Because it wasn't a fucking tsunami of virtue signaling. Here, smart guy, let's see what this week's episode of Harley Quinn is about. Harley Quinn and her best friend Poison Ivy, C, aren't in this episode, which focuses on Batman waking from his coma and vowing to take back Gotham City. Fuck. Fine, but it sucks for watching Family Guy.
The best part?
Oh yes, we got them rattled. Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. If you're feeling charitable, please smash the subscribe button and the like button, and follow me on Twitter at MoviesTVMad. Just to change the subject for a minute, yes, as you can see, the sunlight's right in my eyes, so I have to wear these sunglasses. I'm not trying to be like Usher, right? Yeah, just totally nothing to do with the DCEU. Has anyone actually worked out how to use YouTube Studio? Because they're literally getting rid of the classic uploader, right? The easy one. No, they've complicated everything now. So when I try and upload on the Studio, my laptop freezes. So just a heads up, when they do, and they're threatening to get rid of the classic uploader, right? So when they do that, I may never be able to post videos again. Maybe that'll make you really happy. But anyway, I'm just pre-warning other content creators as well. There is a problem in the YouTube horizon. So, did you see that video I just played in the teaser, right? Wow, we have really got them rattled. So, we definitely need to talk about that today, but also we're going to go to something a lot more positive. The wonderful, compassionate Brett Kolb. In my deepest, darkest hour, many years ago, did a video about Batman v Superman. All my mentions, everything was hate at the time. I remember it. And then I found this beautiful golden nugget from Brett, who's a really compassionate guy. I was watching all his videos on his channel. It's brilliant. He's really interesting, actually. I'm not even a religious guy. He was doing one when he was reading from a Bible, and I'm not into that stuff, right? By the way, but it's just interesting what a compassionate guy he is, an interesting guy. So we are going to relive Brett Kolb's Batman v Superman video. He really is a special, unique individual. And I think he gave hope to many, many fans of Zack Snyder's DCEU. So we're going to be talking about him. But first we need to talk about the elephant in the room. And if anyone ever calls Margot Robbie an elephant, you'll have me to deal with, right? So, they have actually put up that sequence. I kid you not. When I woke up this morning, and I know that Chris Wong-Svensson on the Ping Pong Blitz show the other day actually warned us that something was going to come about on Friday and not to be triggered, and that anything that kind of talks about the movement's a good thing. I don't know how Chris knew about this, but he did. He obviously has contacts. Good for you, Chris. Wow, but that, yes, we've got them rattled. Now, if you look at the two characters they're representing there, of course, they chose not to have a female member of the Release the Snyder Cut movement or the Fandom Menace, because they're the two movements they're representing. Of course, they're representing both of these movements because these are the movements are literally destroying their companies, right? And they don't like it. So they try to equal up the balance. As usual, they got the thing all wrong, and they've really scored another own goal. It's so funny. There's an account now with that guy in the blue shirt, right? And they're actually selling that T-shirt now and giving it to the funds of the charity of ASAP for suicide prevention, right? So again, an own goal. Another own goal, Warner Brothers. This is the entertainment that locks the gates of Hollywood and only passes the honeypot to its own community. Yeah, what a lovely bunch of people they are. So let's talk in more detail about this little sequence, right? So I don't know if that's actually in the Harley Quinn episode or if that's an advert for Harley Quinn. So let's look at what he says. Of course he says the Mary Sue stuff. Of course he says the word woke. They have found a way to try and represent our community in such a disingenuous way, because in fact it's not the Release the Snyder Cut community who keep on shouting about woke and Mary Sue. That's the fandom menace. Now they're really triggered by the fandom menace. The fandom menace are doing a lot of damage to their bottom line, and they're angry. And they're, you know what, it's funny because they try to represent us as angry, toxic males, right? And all they did was make themselves look like the angry, toxic people. That's really funny. That it's, as I say, it's a big own goal. So did you notice the other character that doesn't say much, if anything, has got The Last Jedi is not canon, right? That's a representation of the fandom menace. But you notice, even though they've got a guy in a Release the Snyder Cut top, the other guy hasn't got a Fandom Menace t-shirt, and there's Fandom Menace t-shirts out, by the way. They decided to go, this is how scared they are of the Fandom Menace. Or they don't actually want to represent the Fandom Menace in name at all. But as I say, this sequence shows how rattled these elites are. We are talking about producers and CEOs of companies, heads of companies, triggered and exposed by the fans. The Release the Snyder Cut movement is full of fans, men and women, girls and boys. The Fandom Menace fandom is full of fans, men and women, girls and boys, who have had enough of you, Hollywood, and the entertainment industry. We're fed up of you only passing the honeypot to only your community and not giving anyone else the opportunity. We're fed up of you doing what you did to someone like Zack Snyder, an innocent, talented, unique, creative, artistic individual. And you drove him out. And you made him use the excuse of his daughter's suicide as a reason for him stepping down. That's who you are. That's who you are. Don't I look dark with these glasses, but sorry, I can't handle the sunlight. That's who you are, Hollywood and the entertainment industry. You're not the nice, receptive people you make out you are on Twitter. Let's all be positive. Let's show the love. While you block everyone who says something you don't like, right? Yeah, let's just all be positive. Let's not be in an echo chamber as you block everyone you don't like, right? Yeah? That's who you are, Hollywood. That's who you are, entertainment industry. This is what you did here. This is what you did on this sequence. It's so funny. It's a good sequence. I applaud you. I liked it. Beautiful animation. It was funny. But let's talk about the dialogue. I don't want to watch Harley Quinn because it's just about a bunch of woke Mary Sues, right? I like the Harley Quinn animated series. Yes, it's taken a certain political ideology, right? And that's fine. Don't care. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's Harley Quinn. It's okay. Do whatever you want. Right? I give you permission as a man, anyway, right? But that's not the point. The point is, the discussion is that this is just about a woke show about woke women, right? Mary Sue's. And it's just basically, it's stupid because Batman's never in Gotham. So then they basically read the synopsis for the episode where Harley Quinn isn't in it, and it's about Batman, right? So what they do within the script, they get him to complain about something, then they try and make him look stupid. Of course, they know one thing, and one thing only. The Fandom Menace and the Release the Snyder Cut community movement are not stupid. If either groups were stupid, do you think we would have got a sequence like that if we never made any noise, if they weren't afraid of us? I read you a big monologue from RT Snyder Cut the other day, how if we do too many events, they don't know we're here. RT Snyder Cut, this is proof. They know we're here. They know we're here. And they're rattled. And they're scared. And when people get scared, they kick and they scream. So no, I'm not upset by that sequence. I smiled. It made me laugh. It's funny. It's funny. You try to portray a couple of movements like a bunch of angry people with nothing valid to say. That's what you tried to do. What you tried to do subliminally is try and disenfranchise us as people So anyone who thinks about us sees us as a bunch of idiots. It's too late, Warner Brothers. It's too late, entertainment industry. Your ship has sailed. Your ship has sailed. You're losing money hand over fist with your political ideology. What you did to Zack Snyder was despicable. This is a man from your own community who you passed the honeypot to. That's ironic, isn't it? And then, because he wasn't making you the money, because he stood strongly and said, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to display my own identity in my films and make them the way that I think is right. You sacked him. You weren't patient with his vision. You just pushed him away, sacked him, drove him away. As I said the other day, how many times can someone go and rewrite a script? I mean, we're all experienced with script rewrites, right? But at the end of the day, how many times can you do it? How? And this is the thing. So what that sequence actually does is show the kind of people you're dealing with. They've tried every way to make us look stupid, and it hasn't worked. They've tried to set bloggers against us, the Wall Street Journal, Ben Fritz. They have tried everything. And this is the new them. Now, if I was even more cynical, I'd say that Warner Brothers are just trying to hype up the Snyder Cut. But they're not. They're not. This is a statement. This is a statement. They're making a statement about the type of people that we are. And because of their political ideology, they refused to put a female character, a female member of the fandom menace, a female member of Release the Snyder Cut, which is just as many as there is men. They didn't want to represent that. They represent a false idea of life. They just represented a false idea of what it is to be part of the Snyder Cut community or to be part of the fandom menace. And the sad thing is, because of the internet, everybody knows who we are. Everybody knows what type of people we are. Welcoming, embracing, compassionate people. So congratulations, Warner Brothers. It was a great sequence, but you've been exposed again. You've scored another own goal again. Our cause goes forward while you look like the corrupt, cruel, morally bankrupt entity that you are. And that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, the sunlight's gone a little bit now, so it's okay. I took the glasses off. Well, I did the last segment, didn't I? So now we're going to talk about Brett Culp. Wow. What an interesting, fascinating guy Brett Culp is. He's actually a writer-director. He makes films about positivity. I think he goes around doing speeches, inspiring people. I think he's probably quite religious as well. Religion isn't my thing, but I still appreciate the passion of his faith and how compassionate he is. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. So as I said earlier, I remember in 2016, we all went to see Batman v Superman. And this is where really the Snyder movement was born, wasn't it? We fell in love with this film. This film had so many hidden themes. It was beautiful. It really was. But it had a divisive nature about it because a lot of diehard comic book Batman and Superman fans were upset about the deconstruction element that Snyder did to Batman and Superman. I like that because he deconstructs them, but what people miss upon is he rebuilds them. He reconstructs them by the end of the film. Superman sacrifices his very life for humanity. He's learnt something during the film. The public have learnt something about Superman, that he's not a dangerous alien. In fact, he's a hero who's willing to sacrifice his own life, his own happiness for them. He's happy to be their sacrificial lamb. He doesn't really know if he can come back. He doesn't know if he's going to live or die, but he knows there's a chance. He knows there's a chance that Doomsday could kill him forever. He doesn't know. Superman hasn't had his training in this universe. Jor-El hasn't explained to him many things. That hasn't happened. That's what a Man of Steel sequel was supposed to do. So anyway, right, yeah, I want us to watch this video. I'm not sure if we're going to watch all of it, but we're going to watch a lot of it. And then I'm just going to talk about how important Brett's video is. So if I can find my control, let's do this.
Hi, I'm Brett, and I'm about to tell you how I surprised myself and fell in love with the new film Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. If you don't know me, my name is Brett Culp, and I'm the producer-director of a film called Legends of the Night, which tells the stories of people who were inspired to become real-life superheroes because of their childhood love of Batman. And I'm also in the middle right now of a documentary film called Look to the Sky, which tells the stories of young people who have embodied the spirit of Superman in their life. So I've spent a lot of time and energy emotionally invested in these characters over the past few years. Now, because of the inspirational nature and the positiveness and the lightness of these documentary films that I've worked on, which are both very family friendly, I almost kind of felt a moral obligation going into Batman v Superman to not like it. I had watched the trailers, I had seen the sense of it. It was clear that it was going to be a very dark movie, that it was going to be heavy, also that it was pitting these two superheroes against each other, and why in the world would anyone want to do that? That felt very heavy to me, and I almost felt like I should just hate this movie going in, and that was kind of my preconception. But I actually left loving it, and I want to share why I did and why I think maybe some people don't. But really, I just want to focus on my own experience with this film and what it meant to me. First of all, let me say for anyone just watching this film that wants to know whether or not it's a good, fun, family-friendly, nice, light action-adventure superhero film to go see, let me just tell you, it isn't. That's not what this movie is. Obviously, it's billed as a big action-adventure, but this is not for kids, in my judgment. And let me also say this. If you feel like Superman should always be this ideal, almost unachievable, perfect presence, maybe a little flawed, but really a perfect guy, you're never going to be able to accept this movie. If you feel that way kind of about Batman too, that Batman should live at this level where he reaches these ideals consistently, and if he doesn't reach those ideals, then you just can't accept it and they've destroyed your Batman, then you're probably not going to like this movie either. Let me get very specific with these characters and tell you exactly what I mean by that. Batman, this movie opens with yet another reenactment of the death of his parents. There was part of me when I saw that, it's like, why do we have to do this again? We've done this in every Batman reboot since the beginning of time, showing this. In fact, it's now shorthand in the world of cinema that when you see pearls falling to the ground, it means Batman's mom is dying. Why did we need to see that again? But what I realized is that what they're juxtaposing at the very beginning of this film is that feeling of Batman running and falling into the cave, and that pain of that and that hurt of that. That is the same hurt that Bruce Wayne experiences when he watches the Wayne Tower in Metropolis get destroyed at the very beginning of this film because of what Superman did. He essentially is re-experiencing that pain again. He is seeing it again. He is falling into that pit. And I would say the majority of this film, maybe, I don't know how long, an hour maybe, hour 15, hour and a half, he is that broken person once again. He is not himself. He is not acting the way we idealize Batman to act. He is hurting. He is done. And in fact, when you hear some of the lines that Alfred quotes and says to him, and some of the things that Bruce Wayne says back to him, you realize this is not an ideal Batman. So some of the things that you're seeing and feeling from him and saying, that's not Batman. Batman doesn't do those things. You're exactly right. Batman doesn't do those things. This is not our Batman. This is a broken Batman. Now, what the beauty of the movie, in fact, that opening scene, I think is foreshadowing when he falls down. And it turns out to be a dream sequence where he is then in almost this spiritual, ethereal way being risen up out of that cave by those bats. Now, you look at that in the moment that happens, you're like, oh, this is a dream. This isn't real because of that happening. But that is actually a foreshadowing. I think it's actually an encapsulation of the journey Batman, Bruce Wayne, is going to go on through this entire film. This is what he experiences. And so what you are watching is this man who has been broken, who has gone back to that pit, rise again. And what is incredible about this film, in my judgment, and unique about it, is what it is that is the thing that lifts him again, what lifts him the second time. And it's subtle, and it's so easy to miss. And I think what it is that lifted him up. But then let's switch. Let's go to Superman. Superman is this character that we idealize again as this bold, happy, smiling, bright person. But in this movie, he is confused. He is lost. He's even a little sad because he is discouraged that maybe what he's doing isn't going to have any real impact. He feels like he's doing the best he can, but he is confused. He is worried that he doesn't know how to really help anybody. And he feels like the world is just attacking him, that the more he does, the worse it becomes. And I think when you look at those two characters, the one, Batman, who feels burnout and done and in despair whether or not anything he can do or has done has really made any difference, and feels like he's now back in the same hole that he was as a child. And then you've got Superman, who is this other character who feels like, I have this great power, I've done all these things, but what has it really accomplished? Who have I really helped? And should this mission even continue? I think they're kind of showing us. I mean, I think I sat there and there were a couple of things that those characters did and said that I got very emotional in, because I felt the pain of that. I felt the hurt of what they were experiencing. And those same questions that they were asking, I have asked those questions of myself before in the things I've done. I've spent a lot of times, if you watch my films, a lot of them, the core of them, is rooted in pain. It's rooted in people overcoming that pain. But I am kind of forced in my films to enter into some really hard, really heavy spaces. And that's where this film takes us. That's what it shows us. Now, again, you have to be willing or open to let go of those ideals of those characters to be able to enter those spaces with them. But I think when we all open up our own hearts and look at the world, we do start to wonder, am I, as a person, having any effect? Can I go on? Can I do this? And I think that when you look at the two characters that way, and then you say, what is this movie? How has this movie been billed? It's been billed as Batman versus Superman, these two gladiators that are going to fight, that hashtag that's now been around for weeks and months of who will win? Who will win? This is going to be a fight between these two guys. And when you watch the film, you realize that all of this stuff in this fight has been to draw these two guys together because of their pain, because of their difficulties, because of the fears that they have and the uncertainty that they have. That is ultimately what's drawing them together, and they're being manipulated by some forces that are larger than them to do that. And I think we can very much relate to that. I think, frankly, if you look at the political scene, it's very apparent that we are doing this right now. When we look at Facebook and social media and Twitter and all the mean stuff we're saying to each other on social media and Facebook all the time, we're doing this to each other. When you look at churches and communities and families, we are doing this to each other. We are in our pain, in our difficulty, identifying each other so quickly as the bad guy, and then saying, I'm going to defeat you, I'm going to destroy you. And, which is particularly where Batman is in his pain. And I look at people and see their stories and watch them and say, this is the kind of thing we're experiencing right now in our world. And I think what becomes incredible is, and I'm gonna say this is a spoiler right now, so I'm gonna spoil the movie. If you don't want to see this, then stop right now. What ultimately brings these two together, after Superman has tried to bring them together and it hasn't worked, is the moment where Batman realizes for the first time something that we as hardcore comic book fans of Batman and Superman have known from the beginning of our reading, and I realized this very early, is that these two characters, their mothers have the same name. Both of them are named Martha. And I have no idea in the history of comic books how that happened. I don't know if it was intentional or it was just an accident. I'm going to guess it was historically, probably just an accident where two writers didn't even realize that these two characters had the same name. But in comic books, Martha Wayne, Bruce's mother, dies. In comic books, Martha Kent is Clark Kent's mother. And there is something about that moment where Bruce Wayne, Batman, realizes that he and Superman have the exact same, their mothers have the same name, that it changes him. And I think looking at Superman, seeing him, he sees him in a fresh way. He sees him in a new way and sees him not as a rival or as an enemy, but as a potential friend, as an ally. And he realized that there's been all this manipulation around them, all of these forces at play to get them against each other. But that moment is a moment that allows Batman to rise again. And I think, for me, the profound moment of that in the movie was knowing that about all of us. There are so many differences between us. There are so many reasons that we can fight, and we get caught up in the details of life that make us want to fight each other and battle each other. And we make a big deal about the battles and make them out like they're so important, and that the decisions and the finales about who wins and who loses matter so much. But the truth is, the reality is, that you and I, our mothers have the same. Our mothers have the same name. Our mothers have the same name, you and I. And that truth, that realization, is the second lifting of Batman. Is another moment.
Right. I'm going to stop it there. Wow. Just watching it again, remembering it. I think it's ironic that I started this video, today's episode of the DCEU Daily, with such vehement aggression about something that clearly did trigger me. Even though during the video I said I wasn't upset. Of course I was. Of course I was. It makes a fraudulent statement about us, about something that I support and believe in. But this is where we are now. And then I talk about Brett Culp, probably one of the most gentle, genuine human beings you will ever experience. Now, I don't know him, but this is brilliant, right? Because you think about the time when his video was made. There was so much vehement toxicity against this movie, and anyone who attacked it, us lot, our movement, right? And then they come back at us, right? That's what it was. But this guy, this geezer comes in, right, with the most gentle, compassionate way about talking about this film. It means it can be done. It means we can talk compassionately about a film without having to attack other people all the time. It can be done. There is still so much hatred for BVS. There's still so much hatred for Zack Snyder and our community, right? It's true. But this man was able to say, do you know what? There's a lot of stuff being said about this film. I don't want to talk about that. I want to tell you what I loved. Forget about stuff I might have not liked, right? He's saying, I'm doing this video and I'm going to tell you what this means to me. And he talks about it. And he talks about how important this film is and about all of our mothers having the same names, which means we have a connection. So next time you're arguing with someone on Twitter who triggers you, or you're triggering them, right? Instead of really going deep and calling them names, think about this. Our mothers probably have the same name. My name's Mick Meanus. Please comment down below. Maybe our mothers do have the same name. That'd be cool. My mum was called Maria and she was lovely. Died last October. But comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. I will be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. If you like the channel, please support it. Please tell the whole world about it, because I am struggling to make it relevant right now. So I shall see you again tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed today's DCEU Daily. See you tomorrow.